What is
that's
in
a lot
you
of
that's
that's
making
things
me
people
open
we
this?
don't look into. We don't do that investigative work. Okay,
Yeah.
I've been there before. Why was I attracted to her? So I don't do that again. You know, that's something we do not
And
do,
because I mean,
especially for men. Yeah.
and I think that the problem with that is because a lot, again, going back to the messages that we constantly being bombarded with, we're constantly being told what to do, but we're not really taught to think. It's that whole saying, right? Right now, we're giving people, a lot of people are giving us fish. Nobody's teaching us how to fish. So that's kind of that's the problem. That's what I think the problem is. People are not being taught to think for themselves. Just taught to like, hey, this is the narrative. I'm going to follow it. You know what I mean?
So how do we change that narrative?
First thing you got to start asking people, how do you change it? That's a good question, right? First thing you want to ask people is, what do you want? You know, that's the first question. Like, ask a lot of people that are living however they're living. It's like, what do you actually want? If they say, I just want to play around and be single forever. Okay, you've made your bed, then you know what comes with that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you say,
do you truly believe people when they say that? Or that's just a way.
I believe people in that moment that is what they want. That may change, but in that moment, that is what they want.
What are your thoughts on, and I know you guys have gotten in a situation where you're really like, we'll go back to the attraction part about you're attracted to someone that clearly isn't attracted to the same thing that you want from her, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You're attracted to someone where you want to kind of have the best for her when she doesn't really want the best for herself, right? You see things like it's almost like that potential thing. Like you're attracted to her because you see things she can do better. And as men, we're fixers. We're fixers in that element. So I think that's where some of the attraction with men and women come from, to where they're attracted, to their beauty and body, but there's something there as far as like the personality, as far as like, boom, there it is. That's something I can almost relate. You can almost relate to a woman on, like either she has a bad attitude, or, you know, she's not making as much money, or she's got kids, or whatever. It's something negative. It seems like I'm seeing a trend to where a lot of men negatively are attracted to a woman negatively for some reason.
Just popped up in my mind you said that. Because you said we want to fix, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that maybe the problem is not so much that we want to fix, is that we've given up on trying to fix things. You know, I feel like the most guys are and I mean, again, going back to the popular narrative and what I hear from most, especially younger guys, most guys say that like, I don't have time to try to fix anything. I'm going to move on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like, and again, we don't judge, but we also just say, hey, do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like you see somebody, like you might meet a woman, you want her, but the way she's acting is not something that you condone really, but you're not going to call it out. You're just going to be like, hey, do you? You know, it's fine. I won't keep you. I'll still have fun with you, but I won't keep you because, hey, this is how you move. Cool. I'll be a part of this. That's not trying to fix. That's just saying that I want a part of it, but I'm not trying to fix anything.
But do you feel like it takes two people to fix?
It takes, I mean, I think we all need help to some degree in life in general. We're not islands all onto ourselves. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like everybody needs some form of support, you know?
Yeah. So what if you say, because I do agree that it takes two people to fix. It can't take one person trying to fix everything and the other person isn't meeting you halfway.
Yeah, you have to be an active part. Like
it's got to be some type of it's got to be
but somebody's got to bring up the conversation that, hey, I'm trying to help out here. Let's see if you want the help, you know. But if my attitude from the jump is I'm not here to help, I'm not here to fix anything.
So but wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why would this person come to me and try to fix
themselves? Let's play a little devil's advocate here, you know, for the first time on the show. You know, for the first time on the show, right? What if you're trying to fix a situation with the woman and it's a sensitive subject, it's a trigger for her, she's completely 100% said, no, I'm not fixing it. But it's a major problem.
You leave. That's when you leave, but you try. That's the thing.
What's the levels of trying? What's the levels of trying?
You try until you've had it. Until you'll know when it's like, okay, this is a lost cause. I'm out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know,
Okay.
but you want to try until a certain point, and then once you realize, I'm like, this is not going anywhere, because what you want to see when as you're trying, you want to see if the needle's moving. Are things getting slightly better? Are they getting better? But if things are not progressing at all, and some time has passed, you're like still in the same position.
You've got some men out there that, regardless of the situation, men and women, regardless of the situation, that may be that one little thing they can't take, they can't get over, they can't, they try to fix. But because there's such a strong attraction there, they're willing to stay.
But that's a choice that those individuals make, though. And I'm not gonna so like Brito was just saying, if you decide that, you know what, I am willing to accept this, then you have made your choice, right?
Yeah.
And in the same way that I'm not going to fault anybody for saying, hey, I have these issues and I'm not going to fix them. If you make that decision for yourself, cool. I know I no longer have to be involved. In the same way that if we see this with, on the other side of it, we see this with women who stay with men who cheat, for instance, right?
Good point. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
For me personally, I can say if I know somebody has cheated on me, I am not going to be the one to say, we'll work through it. I'm not that person. Right. And some people, you could say it's my ego. You could say it's I'm just not tolerant of mistakes.
That's your standard.
Whatever.
That's your standard.
It's my standard.
Yeah.
But if some other person has the standard of, you know what, no, we went through a tough time and I am willing to put in the work to make it better, fine. My issue comes in, and it's not even my issue, it's just my hesitation comes in when it's like, this is a pattern of behavior for this person and you are ignoring the pattern. At that point, you have said to that person, you know what, you do not have to respect my standard because I'm not going to respect it. And in that situation, you have essentially greenlit, okay, by all means, go do your thing. And it's like, if you're okay with that, be okay with that, but make sure that this is a wants versus needs thing. Make sure you are in a situation that you are getting what you need, as opposed to you just want to stay in the situation for arbitrary reasons. Or they may not be arbitrary. Kids may be involved, finances may be involved, all of those sort of things.
So do you feel like I want to go back to the patterns thing, and that it doesn't even have to be about cheating. It could be cheating, gambling, finances, emotion. There is emotional abuse, all those things. Do you feel like men and women, we especially we as men, we continue the same habits and behaviors and patterns because of a lack of respect for the other person?
I think it's, and Brito, I want to hear your answer on this as well, but I think it's twofold. I think part of it is threefold. Part of it is it's difficult to change. Like if it was easy to change, we would do it all the time, right? Yeah. We can change our minds all the time, but making actual significant change is a difficult process. Yeah. So it's like you said, if the needle isn't moving at all, then you have some decisions to make. But if the needle is moving like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward type of thing. Like change doesn't happen all at once. It's essentially a what's it called? It's like
it's a growth process.
Yeah, it's like a sine wave, basically.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It'll go up a little bit, then it'll go down, then up a little bit, then down. It's like things happen. So that's the first portion of it. The second portion of it is your your respect for yourself, right? It's like, just going back to what I just said, have you set those boundaries with that other person, and are you yourself willing to respect those boundaries, whatever the pattern might be? And then the third thing is how what's it called? How much leeway are you what's it called? How much leeway are you willing to give them to make specific change, right? Because there are some people who make change, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen quickly. But you're seeing some growth.
But I do think, you know, as we stated, if someone is willing to change, you know, if there's a certain thing you don't like about someone and they're willing to say, okay, he or she doesn't like that.
Yeah, and that's also
some people are like, no, I'm not changing at all.
Exactly. It's their willingness.
That comes back to what you said. So I guess that you answered your own question there pretty much.
Yeah.
Like if you go up to somebody and say, hey, if we're gonna continue whatever we're doing, it's like this thing here might have to change. And if they say, no, I'm not gonna change it, then that means they don't care about you anyway. Because you know the funny thing is, are you gonna have the same attitude at a job? Let's say you have a job that's like, you know, a rare job that you really like, you really value, and your boss comes up to you and says, hey, I've noticed that you come in late every single day. You might want to change that. It's going to be hard to change it, but you're not going to tell them like, nah, that's not going to change. And then just lose it. What happens if you say that? You lose your job, right? Yeah. But if you value the job, you're going to make the change. You're going to do whatever you can to fix that behavior, right?
So it comes down to some people don't value the relationship.
Yeah, and that's your answer.
Yeah, that's the third point. Yeah, some people just straight up don't. They don't care.
Yeah. Or they value the relationship, but they don't value the person that they're with in the relationship.
And that'll usually be a sign. That'll usually be a sign. Like that, I guess that is a really good telltale sign that you're like, okay, I'm wasting my time here. Like if you brought up an issue, I mean, because you might want to be patient. If you're a fixer, you want to be patient. You bring up an issue, but if the person comes out and flat out says, not going to change this, and it's a really bad behavior, something that's clearly objectively bad, because there might be minor things that, you know, sometimes we kick up storms that don't need to be storms. Yeah. But if it's like a really big thing, because we're talking about big things here, right? Yeah. If the person continues on doing that, then you gotta be like, all right, well, if that you've chosen what's of more value to you. You value that other thing more than you value this.
Correct.
So yeah.
Well, I do think, as I talked about on a Freedom Friday today, was being able to look at a situation feeling like it's not 100% your fault, but not feeling like there isn't improvement.
No responsibility.
No improvement. Improvement needed. So I think a lot of times in an aspect of this conversation, thinking about those situations is the fact that it's easy for someone to say, hey, I tried, I'm out. And like, there's nothing wrong with me. It's them. Like, it goes back to like, it's them, it's not me. And I feel like that's the improvement part. I feel like we as people need to look at and say, how could I have said it a little bit different? Could I have done things a little bit different? Could I have maybe shown her a little bit different? You may not want to go back to that relationship or that situation because you know what type of response you're going to get from her. But what happens if you're in another situation, a relationship where you're like, I don't like something? How are you going to respond? How are you going to communicate it? Are you going to communicate it the same? I think those are the little things of improvement. I feel like we as people have to look and say, okay, you know, it didn't work the first time the way I did it. Let me try something different because I'm in a different relationship, a different situation.
I mean, they always say hindsight is 20/20. So just use that hindsight moving forward. So, you know, you look back and you say like, man, I could have done this. I could have done this. That situation's broken though. I can't go back and fix that. That's broken. Yeah, exactly. But moving forward, I'm going to start doing this.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people bring old baggage into new relationships.
But even if hindsight is 20/20, I think it still takes a certain level of uh, I'm blaming a certain level of introspection to recognize that you need to have, like, you need to use that hindsight. Because some people will just go through life and it's like, yeah, hindsight is 2020. But if you don't look back there, then it doesn't matter how good your hindsight is because you're not looking back there, right? And I think it, like you said, for improvement. So I had a conversation recently with somebody, and they said something that I found really interesting, and it was, you can't create from the past, which is cool, which is a dope statement. But I also, just because you can't create from the past doesn't mean you can't learn anything from the past. And I think too often we take the first part of it, like, oh, you can't create from the past. And we just mean like, well, if I'm not creating nothing, I have no reason to look back there then. I'm just going to look forward. And it's like, there are lessons to take with you if you look back. But the balance, which is a lot of what we're talking about right now, is balance, is how much of the past do you bring with you? Or how many lessons do you take from what you're going through?